in my opinion, living here for well over 40 years, this is the safest, best real estate market in the country.
Good evening. Welcome back to GPS Business Network, where we discuss complex markets and give you real insight that you will not see in the nightly news. Joining us today is Kevin, a real estate agent and also a GPS member on the GPS Network channel. So today, the reason why we're saying with Kevin, to clarify some things that the normal person have every day, which is me. For example, is this a good time to get a house? Do I really need a real estate agent? What is a realtor? Why is the prices going up and down? What is interest? Is the market crashing or is it not? GPS is the right address. That's why we're here with the pros to get the pros, not the cons. Mr. Kevin, good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
How do you like the intro?
Oh, it was fantastic.
Is that enough
Yeah,
credit?
thank you for having me.
Oh,
on.
the pleasure is mine. I'm the new team member. You're the pro. That's why I'm just here. I'm a sick person coming to my doctor, which is, I assure you, is like everyone on the screen. So the real question that we have today is going to be, from your experience, how is the local market in Virginia or DC or Maryland? Just because it's a local area, I'm sure it's different in every state. But how is it different from what people see online or what people perceive? From my perspective, I see that you have hands-on and you're actually in the field. So I think that you would be a great reliable source for people to come for insight.
Yeah. So, when you take a look at the country as a whole, right, and there's things discussed about the real estate market. The Northern Virginia DMV area is so much different than what's compared to in other parts of our country. And what do I mean by that is we are here next to the nation's capital.
Agreed.
Okay?
Yes.
We also have government contractors that support the government. We also have businesses here that support the government and the government contractors.
Yes,
so
sir.
there's major stability. So, in my opinion, living here for well over 40 years, this is the safest, best real estate market in the country. That if and when things affect the real estate market, we don't normally get hit nearly as bad as some of the other parts of the country.
That's actually okay. Well, that's kind of makes me feel safe, but excuse my ignorance. What's the reason for that?
Well, you have the stability with the job market. Real estate prices and real estate markets start with the job stability and the incomes, right? So when you see higher prices like in Arlington, Virginia, as opposed to, let's say, Alexandria, Virginia, or somewhere as far down south as Stafford, Virginia, you see different price points in all of these different areas. And the reason that is because of the incomes that are in those areas. Of course, you've got people that can afford those $1 million homes in Arlington. You have a lot more $1 million earners as opposed to if you were going to be in Stafford County, you've got more of the government workers, the military, and you'll see those price points of 4 to 800,000. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And same with like Manassas, Prince William County, and now we have all of the data centers that are in Ashburn, which are creating more jobs in the area and more stability and higher incomes, which is also driving the prices up because people want to be closer to where they work.
That makes a lot of sense. I actually used to work as a security officer in one of the data centers for a very well-known company, but without mentioning names. And what I noticed that in Ashburn, the amount of digital real estate that they have over there is ridiculous. I'm talking about acres. And then people talk about how the market is gonna crash and this and this. I'm like, well, how are these houses being built and stuff? Are these houses not gonna get built and people not gonna live in them? And then a year or two passes, and then I go to Ashburn. It's a whole new city.
Right. Right. So like, for example, Ashburn and Sterling, the commercial real estate as far as land is concerned, the past 2 years, because of all the technological development, okay, you've got industrial land that started at $500,000 an acre 2 years ago. But because of all the development that has gone on in the area, do you have any idea of what an acre goes for now in Sterling within a short 2 year period of time?
I mean, if we're talking about, are we talking about pre-COVID?
Yeah, well, we're talking about pre-COVID. I'm just
Okay.
talking about the last 2 years.
So the last 2 years, you said 500,000 with the
And this is
inflation.
industrial land. This is zoned
Industrial.
commercial, right?
So I would say maybe 2.5.
It's actually 5 million an acre.
Oh,
So it went
Lord.
from 500,000 to $5 million an acre.
And that's why we ask the pros and we do not assume. I'm right here assuming just like you watching, but
That's
I have
right.
to ask the pro.
That's right. So with that being said, the reason why the prices go up is because there's going to be less land to where people can develop. But as these projects are being built and as this digital real estate is being built, it's also going to create these digital jobs, right?
Yes.
And so all of these high paying jobs, which is going to create demand for the residential real estate market and eventually keep prices up. So
technically the market is not going to crash. It's booming.
absolutely not. Like we are in the safest, most stable. This is the best part of the country to buy and hold real estate.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because I am a resident here. So I'm trust me. I'm sure a lot of people are happy to hear they're safe.
Right.
Alrighty. Okay, Mr. Kevin. A lot of people make big financial decisions based on headlines because of do you know what I'm talking about?
Right.
The experts.
The experts.
Okay,
right.
so now let's get on the field since we have a pro at hand. Why do you think national real estate news often creates confusion or fear for the buyers and the sellers? For example, you hear something that is completely wild and is absolutely not true. Have you faced something like that?
Absolutely. I think that goes on more today than any other time because headlines, clickbait leads to headlines, and clickbait also leads to
views,
attention, right?
Yes.
So views. And so people normally chase after negative. They're always kind of wanting to see the negative out of everything, but not cutting through the headlines to really get to the facts of what the
actual market is offering or providing.
Correct. That is actually correct.
So, quick question. I heard something wild like 2 years ago, like, hey, the housing interest has went down to 7%. Me as a civilian, I just thought all the banks, all the loans are going to be down to 7% and this and that. But I was scared. I didn't know what's my first step. How do I go about this? So what is an advice that you can give to the viewers that when they hear something like that and it strikes their mind, whether it's fear or whether it's just confusion, what's the first step they should do?
So when interest rates went up, right, it did scare a lot of people. And it even scared me as a real estate agent. But there was a few really good lessons that I learned that a lot of the people that I was working with previously to those interest rates going up were buying and selling out of luxury. What do I mean by that? Their $350,000 home went up to $500,000, okay? And because of interest rates going down to 2%, 2.5%, 3%, they were able to buy a much bigger home and keep the same payment. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. Okay.
So that's what created the craziness in the market, and that's why house prices went up, right? So, but then when the interest rates shot up, that convenience went out the window. People changed their mind. They're like, I'm not going to pay 3 times monthly for let's just say for a bigger house because my payment is going to be 3 times the amount.
But they were the same people that pushed the market to that point.
Well, that's correct. That's correct. And there's a lot of people that missed on opportunities, but at the same time, being an agent in that market, and we would go out and we would see these homes, and there'd be lines of cars people walking into the door and waiting their turn to go see the home, going in multiple offer situations. It was one of those deals where it's like, all right, Kevin, so the house is listed at 550. Where do you think we need to be priced at in order to get the home? Because we want to get the house. And it was it was hard for me as an agent to say, listen, we're probably going to have to go $50,000, $60,000 over asking price in order to get the home. And we may have to take off every contingency. And it was so hard at the time. But what was so good about that, all of those people that we ended up going $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 over asking price, they bought their homes for $600,000. Now their homes are worth $850,000. And see, this is the thing that most people don't really know about, that they won't see in the headlines. A lot of these people, like it's the percentage of Americans who are on 2 to 3% interest rates are so high. Like I'm talking almost 90%.
That is a crazy number.
That is a crazy number. So what does that mean for the people that are on 2 to 3% interest rates? These people are sitting on a pile of equity.
Yeah.
Okay. And so because these people are sitting on so much equity, if they were to go belly up, right, and not make their payments, somebody can come in and buy their house and they're still going to make money. So it's not like there's no loss. There's no loss.
Zero.
There's zero loss.
Believe it or not, I worked with another officer recently, and he told me he bought a house like 20 years ago when he was our age, and he got it for like 110. He told us that about 3-4 months ago, someone tried to buy the house from him for $3 million, and he said no.
Yep.
So I completely understand from a first-hand perspective that, hey, when you invest into a housing, it's not just a home for the family and stuff. You're technically a business owner.
Right.
Or am I shooting for the sky for that one?
You're not. Because the truth is, the people that bought at those 2 to 3% interest rates, I can assure you that if we were to have a conversation on, Kevin, what should I do with my house? I want to move. It's like I know the rent that you can get for this house is going to exceed your mortgage payment.
Okay.
By a
I
long
see.
shot, right? And so this is where you should talk to a professional and somebody who really cares about your best interest, right? Like you could do a couple different things. You could hang on to that property, and I strongly recommend to those who are on those 2 to 3% interest rates to never.
When a pro says I recommend, that's when we start listening.
To never sell your house and find every way you can to keep that property when buying another one.
Copy that. All right. So, Mr. Kevin, back in the day, we were taught that gold always goes up.
Yes,
right?
That's a.
From my perspective, I think that housing might be the new gold.
All right. So yes. Okay. So gold, right? Not to get too far off the subject, gold and both real estate are the perfect hedge against inflation. We're on a fiat currency system, which means when more credit is created, more currency goes into the money supply, right? But what makes real estate so much better than gold? Gold is something that you purchase and you put in a safe and you sit onto it. You hold onto it, right?
You can wear it, look pretty for one
night,
but it's gone.
You can look pretty. You can have it. You can store it at a gold storage or whatever. And I think gold is a fantastic. I even think silver is a fantastic investment. However, when you go broke, guess what you got to do with the gold or silver? You got to sell it, right? And chances are you have to take a loss on, let's say, for example, you buy an ounce of gold for $1,500. Now it's worth what, about $3,000 an ounce. But in order to sell it, you don't sell it for $3,000. You sell it for $2,500. Now, with real estate being the perfect hedge of inflation, the advantage that real estate has over something like gold has a means of tax. Okay, the perfect hedge for inflation. We've seen that in the last few years, ever since COVID happened. They dumped a ton of money into the system, bailing businesses out
Yes.
and people out. But where did all that money go? It went into the value of real estate. But not only do you get the tax benefits of owning real estate, but you can rent real estate as a means of income. So not only do you get the appreciation, you get the tax benefits, and you can use it as a means of cash flow, to which you will never be able to do that with gold.
So it can be a money-making machine. It can be a business investment. You can even give it as a hereditary asset to your kids. Because, for example, even if you have a piece of gold, you can give that necklace to your daughter, but it can be stolen. No one can steal a house.
That's right. And you can borrow against your real estate. You cannot borrow against your gold.
Oh, I didn't say it. It was the pro. Okay.
Yes.
Next segment. How do platforms like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube influence buyers' expectations right now? So, for example, let's say back in the day, if someone put a commercial in the newspaper and someone sees a house showing and they go themselves physically and stuff, it was so much a little bit more genuine, I would say, from my perspective. But today, you can have someone that has, I would say, some capital, but they watch a video and now the expectations is up here and they come and meet you in the field, and now you have to be the one to break either good, bad news, or just give them a shock. How is the social media influencing your relationship with people like that?
Well, so it really all depends on the influencer and the person that you're talking to, right? And there are several influencers that I say that I would follow as a real estate agent. And even some of the ones that I agree with the most, some of the advice, right, that they give is super local to where their market is, right?
Copy that.
It's not everyone lives in the same market.
So their perspective is locally, but their advice is generalized.
Yes, and you also have to see where they're coming from, because you have 90% of these influencers that are talking and discussing topics that get views and that get attention. They're not really always relaying facts.
The clickbait.
The clickbait.
Just get the conversation going.
Just get the conversation
Copy
going.
that.
That's right.
All right. So for the next question here, I have, do you see social media creating unrealistic fears? So for example, I'll give you a fear that I have.
Okay.
I wanted to buy a house in Texas, but then the immigration thing happened and I was like, well, do I really want to go by the border? That's an unrealistic fear because I'm not even in Texas. I don't even know what's going on over there, but that's literally the picture that was put in here from what I've seen. So do you face that?
Yeah, I mean, yes, but you know, anytime where you purchase real estate, you want to think about the long-term plan, right? And you want to think about appreciation, equity, tax benefits, and of course, leverage, which is something you could borrow against. Markets do have a tendency of going up, down, sideways, or whatever. And just like Texas, you know, you have a lot of people that moved into Texas and a lot of businesses moved to Texas, which helped drive prices up, right? But the truth of the matter, and this is, you know, common sense, and I'm just going to say this and just point this out. Humans create more humans than humans create houses.
I think I can agree. I'm Egyptian, and in Egypt, we make a baby every 7 seconds. So
Right. So
I don't think we can build the house every 7 seconds.
right. So, you know, like back in 2008, when the real estate market crashed, right? We didn't have a real estate crash. What we had a financial crash. We had bad loans going out on real estate. So they overbuilt real estate. They built real estate to the point where there was 3 to 4 houses for every buyer, right? And that's what the financial markets did. So when the financing fell apart, there were way more houses than there were buyers, and that caused the market to crash. Now, what happened during COVID and during like 2008 up to 2020, when we had COVID, because of the harsh crash in 2008, all of these builders and developers, they quit building houses.
The residual trauma.
Right. So they quit building the houses. And so what happened in 2020 when the interest rates dropped down, there was a flood into and there was the biggest challenge was we're not building enough houses to keep up with demand. So right now what we're seeing is we are going to see a lot of lifts on regulations to so we can build more houses. And this is another thing that kind of falls back on that. Will the real estate market crash? I mean, they're going to have to build a lot of houses to keep up with the future demand.
To be fair, I think I'm not even a pro, but I think I agree with you because it's just basic math. The population is increasing, but the houses are still the same.
That's exactly correct.
So that's why we have a lot of cities, for example, in Northern Virginia that I can speak about. I'm not a pro, I repeat, but I live in Woodbridge and it's one of the very fast growing cities. I just see apartments and housing coming everywhere. I was like, I grew up here. This was just the woods.
That's right. And we don't have enough land. So what you're seeing is seeing a lot of buildings and houses getting destroyed and new buildings going up.
Yes, sir.
To keep up with demand, which is also increasing house prices.
That is amazing. That is amazing. The pro said it again, not me. Okay. Mr. Kevin, I was taught by my elders that if you cannot make it here, you cannot make it anywhere. So for example, I want to buy a house and be a house owner. Would it be a good idea to buy it in Virginia and try to be successful here and build a house here and build a home here? Or would it be a better idea to try to see something that's a little bit more affordable for me that's within Virginia? Or would it be a better idea to go to a different state?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Everybody's situation is a little different, but Northern Virginia and Virginia is a great place to purchase a house. Now, I know that house prices, for example, in like Arlington, Fairfax County, some of these areas are kind of getting a little high where people are I would say priced out of a home.
Yes.
So the next best thing that you would have to do is kind of take a look on the outskirts of these areas and see which areas are really developing. And what do I mean? Are
Maybe
they
like a
adding
different county?
different county? Like
Okay.
for example, Prince William County right now is a very fast growing county. Woodbridge, you have Winchester that is growing and they're doing a lot of building, they're doing a lot of development out there, but house prices are still reasonably priced and affordable, right?
Yes.
So you want to get in on these outskirts early before all the development is done, because as the development is happening and once it's done, it's going to cause house prices
I
to
see.
go up.
And it's
Right.
actually kind of convenient as well, because now that you're saying it that way, if I want to get a house myself, I don't have to move far away from my parents where they live in Woodbridge. I can just go to Winchester and work remotely, and I don't even have to travel.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are working remotely, and so yes, I mean you can have a much bigger home in these areas. $500,000-600,000 is going to get you more in these areas, and there's opportunity for growth, opportunity for appreciation, and right now the fastest growing county in the state of Virginia is New Kent County, Virginia, and that's between Richmond and Williamsburg, right off of 64.
Okay.
And there's great opportunities. But yes, so to answer your question, you want to take a look at the development opportunities and the developing that's going on, and that's really what you want to be on the lookout for. Like for example, and another thing that you may want to look out for is like Whole Foods,
Whole Foods.
the grocery stores.
Yeah.
These food chains do tons of research and development. They're looking at the incomes of the area, they're looking at the jobs of the area, they're looking at the
Demographic.
planning, the demographics before they put a store, because they're not going to put a store somewhere for 30 years that's going to lose. They're going to make sure that their asset is making money throughout that time. So the reason why I wanted to point that out is you really want to take a look at what's going on in the development in these areas. Now, are some areas, like, for example, King George, that are not developing. Orange County, they're kind of not developing. So
Hear
you're,
about it a lot in the news.
yeah. So when these counties that are against growth, you're not going to see much appreciation, right?
Got it.
So if you are priced out of the Northern Virginia market, you definitely want to see and take a look at the counties that are developing and growing. And those are going to be the best opportunities for, first time home buyers or people who aren't making the money to be able to live in Northern Virginia.
And the more I speak with you, it shows how ignorant I am to me, because when you said 500, 600 in the Chantilly Sterling area, I was like, I thought these numbers disappeared from the market, that the lowest house you can get specifically in that area closer to the Dallas airport, you're talking about 1 million and up, but you just said 500, 600. And those numbers we heard way before COVID, like 2015, 2016. So the fact that you're saying these numbers, it shows just how ignorant and uninformed I am. And that's why, if you have a question, you should always ask a pro. And please feel free to reach out to us. This is GPS. Let us know where you want to go, and we'll put in the address. So, Mr. Kevin.
Yes.
I know by a fact that you have been a great realtor for most of your life, and you were a realtor before GPS, and you are a realtor with GPS. If you don't mind, just give us a brief idea of your experience before, your experience when you joined, and how you are now.
So, the experience before was, I would say is good, but what has GPS done for me? GPS is a community. It's a business community of entrepreneurs, investors, people who are constantly thinking ahead. And it's the energy is there, right? It's people who want to grow. It's people that are looking to better themselves, invest more money. But one of the things with GPS is that these are people that are good-hearted people that really want to help you succeed, right? So GPS for me, when I'm around these business owners, it makes me want to increase my game. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. It's not a job anymore. It's more of like a challenge.
Right. And you
I
are who
enjoy this.
you are by the people that you surround yourself with. So you want to make sure that you're involved in a great community and surround yourself with really good people, because one of the things that's not often talked about that we often feel and experience as entrepreneurs is the downtime, the failures, right? But what the GPS group allows me to do is when things get tough, you dive deeper into your people, and your people are there to help you out. And that's exactly what I find with the GPS.
Thank you.
Business
Thank you.
Network Alliance.
Thank you, Mr. Kevin. This is actually a legit statement from a legit pro. This is not my statement. This is his statement. So before we wrap up, Mr. Kevin, this has been an incredibly insightful episode, and you have showed me how ignorant I was when it comes to the real estate. And you have also put hope in me and changed the misconception and the misleading information that I had. This is not going to be our first or last episode. We're going to have more episodes coming with Mr. Kevin, where we're going to discuss business real estate, acres, digital real estate. He's the pro. He's going to tell us what we're going to talk about. We have an answer for every question. This is GPS, only success. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching today. Stay tuned for the next episode. Next week, we have an Arabic episode, and the following week, we'll have an English episode. Stay tuned. GPS, only success. Good night.